Many people still believe that eating sardines is one of the healthiest choices they can make for their well-being. And truly, that's correct. Sardines are tiny, yet packed with unbelievable nutrition. They are a gift from the ocean. But I want you to pause for a moment and reflect. Because most people, especially those in their 50s, 60s, and beyond, are eating sardines the wrong way without even realizing it. I've worked in medicine for over 30 years, meeting thousands of older patients. And one thing I've noticed is this. We usually don't lack good food. We lack the right understanding to make the most of it. Sardines are no exception. You see, sardines can support your heart, your memory, your bones, and even your muscles. Just one small can carries more nutrition than many expensive foods out there. Yet so many people, maybe even you, have unknowingly thrown away the most important parts, or chosen the wrong kind of sardines, or stored them improperly, and slowly that wonderful value fades away. I want you to imagine a familiar situation. You open a can of sardines, eat a few bites, and leave the rest in the fridge. You think, I'll finish it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into the next day, and the next. By the time you open it again, the sardines are dry, they smell off, and that fresh taste of the sea is gone. Have you ever been in that situation? Many people have told me they avoid sardines because of that smell. But the truth isn't in the sardines themselves, it's in how we treat them. One of my patients, Linda, age 67, once told me, "Doctor, I hear sardines are great for bones, but I just can't swallow those tiny bones inside. I'm afraid of choking." I smiled and explained that sardine bones are completely softened during the canning process. They practically melt in your mouth. And what she had been throwing away was actually a priceless source of natural calcium, something her body needed more than ever at her age. When she tried again, eating slowly, she was surprised to find it wasn't uncomfortable at all, and even enjoyed the gentle sweetness that spread across her palate. "All this time I've been depriving myself," she said. Do you see yourself somewhere in Linda's story? I believe you might, because many of us stick to old habits, tossing out the bones, draining away the oil, choosing the in-water version thinking it has fewer calories. But sometimes it's those very habits that seem reasonable that take away what our bodies need most. I also want you to consider another perspective. After age 50, our bodies don't work the way they did in our 20s. Bones aren't as strong, memory sometimes slips, and sleep isn't as deep. We need the right nutrients, not just to live longer, but to live healthier. And sardines, when eaten the right way, can be a quiet but steadfast companion on that journey. I remember one man in his 70s who struggled with osteoporosis and joint pain so severe that walking was difficult. He never believed in ordinary foods, but when he was guided to eat sardines regularly, keeping the bones, using the oil, just a few months later he came back and said, "I'm not claiming my bones are 30 again, but I can clearly walk lighter with less pain, and I feel like I'm caring for myself in the most natural way possible." That is the power of the right understanding. So why am I telling you all this? Because I don't want you to just hear sardines are healthy in a vague general sense. I want you to understand that it's the small details, how you choose the can, how you store it, how you eat it, that truly make the difference. Just like in life, sometimes happiness and health don't come from something grand, but from the way we cherish the simple things each day. You may have thought, nutritious food must be expensive, imported from somewhere far away. But sardines are different. They're humble, affordable, quietly sitting on a supermarket shelf. Yet inside, they carry nutrients that many so-called premium foods can't match. As long as you don't overlook them, don't underestimate them, they can give you so much in return. So before we dive deeper into the common mistakes people make when eating sardines, I want you to ask yourself, have I really made the most of this little food? If your answer is not sure, then today's video just might change the way you look at a can of sardines, and even the way you care for yourself in these later years of life. What troubles me is this. Sardines are truly a superfood, yet we ourselves often strip away their value. Not because sardines are lacking, but because of the way we choose them, eat them, and store them. And every time we miss that, we lose an opportunity to let our bodies be nourished in the most natural way. One of the mistakes I see so many people make, maybe even your habit too, is rinsing sardines before eating. I understand the feeling. You want to get rid of the oil, the saltiness, or maybe just reduce the fishy taste. But let me share a secret with you. During the canning process, the most valuable nutrients, omega-3, vitamin D, vitamin E, seep into the oil or sauce. That means when you rinse sardines under the faucet, you're not just washing away the smell, you're washing away their very essence. One of my patients, David, age 62, once told me he rinsed sardines to eat them cleaner. But after I explained, he tried eating a can of sardines packed in olive oil just as they were. The result? He enjoyed the taste more, and at his next checkup, his cholesterol had improved noticeably. Turns out, all this time I was throwing away my natural medicine, he said. Another habit, which seems harmless but is quietly harmful, is leaving an open can of sardines in the fridge for too long. I know many people open a can, eat half, then put the rest in the fridge thinking they'll finish it tomorrow. But the truth is, after just a day, especially with the in-water kind, the sardines start to oxidize and the precious fats begin to break down. Worse, many people leave the fish in the very same open tin where both flavor and nutrients vanish quickly. I often advise my patients, if you don't finish it, transfer it right away into a clean glass container and seal it. Remember, food is like friendship. If we don't appreciate it at the right time, it loses its true value. And here's another mistake I saw with my own eyes in a community nutrition class. Many people pour out the oil from the can. They believe it's just excess fat. But what they don't realize is that the oil is a treasure. When sardines are packed in olive oil, over time the oil and the fish blend together, creating a solution rich in omega-3 and vitamin E. I often tell my patients, think of it as a free sauce gifted by nature. You can drizzle it over a salad, pour it onto hot rice, or simply dip bread into it. One elderly lady in my group tried this, then laughed and said, I feel like I'm eating an appetizer at a Mediterranean restaurant, not just a $2 can of fish. There's a subtler mistake, one that few notice, eating too much at once. I once met a retired doctor who believed that since sardines are healthy, the more the better. He ate 3 cans a day. The result? After just a few months, his blood pressure and uric acid levels had spiked. Sardines are good, but like any food, too much backfires. For older adults, just 2 to 3 times a week, 1 small can each time is enough for the body to reap the benefits without strain. Health is not about the more, the better. It's about finding the right balance so the body can absorb it sustainably. And perhaps the most common mistake I see in supermarkets is choosing sardines in water instead of oil. People think fewer calories means healthier, but in reality, sardines in water become dry, lose their flavor, and most importantly, lose the protective layer for omega-3. Sardines in oil, especially olive oil, preserve both flavor and those precious fatty acids for heart and brain health. I often tell my patients, remember, we don't need empty calories, we need nourishing calories. Have you ever stood in front of the shelves staring at all the cans and picked one simply because it seemed lighter, less fatty? If so, then perhaps you've also been missing a chance to truly care for your heart. Do you remember when I mentioned Linda, the woman who used to throw away the sardine bones? That's actually one of the most common mistakes. The truth is, sardine bones are a natural calcium treasure, so soft you can crush them with just your tongue. But many people, out of fear of choking, toss them aside. And by doing so, they rob themselves of the safest, most absorbable source of calcium. I often tell my patients, instead of swallowing another chalky calcium pill, try slowly chewing a bite of sardine and notice how the bones simply melt away. That's how your body receives calcium in a gentle, natural way. Another mistake, more subtle, yet very impactful, is avoiding sardines just because of the smell. I've heard countless stories like, Doctor, I just can't eat them. The odor is too strong. But the truth is, the flavor of sardines depends a lot on the brand, the type of sauce, and how you prepare them. I often suggest, instead of eating them straight out of the can, try mixing sardines with a squeeze of fresh lemon, a few slices of tomato, or laying them on toasted bread. The fresh acidity of lemon cuts right through the fishiness, leaving behind a rich, pleasant taste. An older gentleman in my nutrition club laughed the first time he tried it. Wow, this is completely different. Not fishy at all, actually delicious. Sometimes the barrier isn't the food itself, but the way we choose to experience it. Another interesting mistake I've seen is eating sardines only straight from the can, without any creativity. Sure, it's convenient, but when you repeat the same thing over and over, boredom sets in. And once you get bored, you give up, losing a healthy habit. Yet with just a little change, mixing sardines into a salad, spreading them on bread, or adding them to pasta, you'd be surprised how sardines can feel like a gourmet ingredient. I still remember running a small cooking class for my older patients. A 70-year-old woman giggled as she tasted sardine pizza for the very first time. She said, "I never imagined something I used to see as a rushed meal could turn into such a delicious dish." Another mistake you might be making is improper storage after opening the can. Many people leave sardines in the open tin and stick it in the fridge. I've said it before, that's a trap. Metal reacts with air, the flavor changes, and harmful compounds can even form. If you want to truly respect this food, transfer the leftovers into a clean glass jar and seal it. Food, like our bodies, needs to be treated kindly to preserve its full value. And there's one more thing I've seen disappoint people: pairing sardines with the wrong foods. Many patients tell me they eat sardines with salty crackers or even greasy fried foods. They think it simply makes it easier to eat. But in doing so, you turn a healthy food into a heavy, hard-to-digest meal that loses its heart benefits. I usually advise pair sardines with leafy greens, whole grains, or a light salad. Let sardines be the centerpiece of balance instead of the victim of convenience habits. Have you ever noticed yourself eating sardines just to get the meal over with instead of enjoying it? If so, that's exactly what steals the joy of eating. I still believe that food is not just about fueling up. It's a way to converse with your body, a way to love yourself. There's a subtle mistake many older folks make, thinking sardines are just a poor man's food. I've had quite a few patients tell me, "Doctor, how can I keep eating sardines? They're just a cheap can of fish." But the truth is the opposite. In the world of nutrition, expensive doesn't always mean healthier. Sardines, costing only a few dollars, carry as many nutrients, sometimes even more, than larger fish or pricey supplements. A colleague of mine, also in his 60s, often jokes, "Sardines are like a first-class ticket at an economy price." And I believe he's absolutely right. Another mistake, rarely mentioned but one I often see in my clinic, is eating sardines with alcohol. Many think sardines make a great snack with cold beer or a glass of liquor. But alcohol blocks the body's ability to absorb omega-3, harms the liver, and even cancels out the heart benefits sardines provide. I remember Jim, age 65, who came to me with fatty liver disease. He said, "But I eat sardines all the time. Why is my liver worse?" After asking more questions, I found out he always ate them with beer. Sometimes the truth is harsh. It's not the sardines, it's what we pair them with. Another common mistake is not caring about the source or brand. Not all cans of sardines are the same. Some brands use poor quality oil or add too much salt, stripping away their natural value. When buying, I often advise patients to read labels carefully. Choose sardines that are sustainably caught, packed in olive oil, and low in sodium. That's not only how we care for ourselves, but also how we leave behind a healthier planet for the next generation. You see, personal health and the health of the earth go hand in hand. And here's the final mistake I want to emphasize. It may sound small, but it has lasting effects. Eating sardines irregularly. Some eat them every day for a week, then stop for a month. Others only eat them when they remember. But the body needs consistency. Omega-3, calcium, vitamin D only work their magic when consumed regularly, like drops of water feeding a river. I often compare this to watering a plant. You can't drown it one day and ignore it for a month. The plant will wither. So will your body. Before we finish, I want to share 3 important perspectives from my own experience. First, see sardines not just as food, but as a ritual of self-care. When you open a can, arrange it nicely on a plate, add a squeeze of lemon, some greens, maybe bread. You're sending a message to your body. I deserve to be cared for. This is especially important in your 50s and 60s, when many people start forgetting to put themselves first. Second, eat sardines as a way to protect your memory. Science has shown that the omega-3s in fish help keep the brain sharp and lower the risk of memory decline. I had a patient, Helen, age 72, who used to complain about forgetfulness. After consistently eating sardines twice a week for 6 months, along with mental exercises, she told me she felt clearer in her mind. There was no magic, just patience and a smart choice. And third, eat sardines with your family, not just alone in silence. I once joined a dinner where the whole family gathered around the table, enjoying a sardine salad together. That warmth made the food taste 10 times better. When you share, you turn a meal into a memory, into love, and health becomes more sustainable because it's tied to happiness. You see, sardines may be a small can, but if we appreciate them, they can be a true companion for your health, your memory, your bones, and your heart. The question I want you to carry with you today is this: will you keep eating sardines the old way, or will you begin to see them with new eyes, as a genuine gift from the sea?